this course. I mentioned little briefly what the course is, what it consists of. The industrial wastewater management towards sustainable and safe environment. This course consists of 10 lectures. For this particular day, I have combined lecture 1 and 2 together. Okay? So from 11 to 1, we will do that. Okay? So this is an important basic understanding about how we do the pre-treatment program and also how we manage our industrial business. Then we have in tutorials, 10 lectures and 5 tutorials. 4 are the case studies. How we manage the industry if it is a troublesome one. How we enforce to streamline the wastewater. Okay? There are 2 components for managing the wastewater. One is the technology we use, correct? And another is the regulation. So what we will do is, in the first day we will study about how the wastewater is taken care of. What are the various components of this pre-treatment program? What do you mean by pre-treatment? And how it is discharged and where it is discharged. Why we call it as a pre-treatment? Right? So that is one component. It has a 4 case studies. I have put in the afternoon, tomorrow hours, probably today. They planned a site visit at 1 o'clock. That's also good. I have 2 videos put up how successfully the treatment plant is constructed and managed. You can see a little video also. I think probably maybe tomorrow. That's one part. And one particular lecture is on metals. Wastewater discharge consists of a lot of metals also. It depends upon type of industry, but metals are equally important to take care of. Otherwise, that will mess up with the whole treatment process. And also, even if it is in the sludge, it cannot be disposed. So those are the one lecture I have covered, one tutorial I have covered also. That is also, you find it interesting. So in the afternoon we will have a more time to interact. It's a tutorial. So where, how the industry, what was the discharge, where they were discharging, what were the issues, how they were dealt, and how they enforced this. Because we have 3 kind of regulations. Can you take it to the next slide? Oh, I will do that. Oh, no. I was not knowing this. It's a pre-treatment program. It's from the Environmental Protection Agency, which I always interact with. We developed this system. It was developed long back, applied to the whole United States, and NPDS means this is a National Pollution Discharge Eliminating System. That is, right? You will understand that. Don't be panicked, because this material is so much. So it is like drinking water with the fire hose. So go slow. If you don't understand, you can stop me. You can ask me how it is, why it is coming up, what is this. You can ask freely. It should be like kind of an interactive. I'm teaching you, you are learning. It is not like, you guys have a great experience, great qualification. You can also share your thoughts, how you do here, what were the questions in this situation, what we do. Because this course, what I'm going to do is, my first focus is to address your issues. You can ask any questions. There is nothing like a dumb question, right? So you can ask any question. So I will try to explain that to my ability. I remember, because you need not to be hesitant. I taught here also for many years. I started my career like lecturer, then I become assistant professor, then I become professor. Then combination, so you will understand. So this particular course, as I mentioned, it is basically what we are doing in the US to take care of industrial wastewater. So how it is implemented, where it is implemented, what are the consequences, what are the issues. Pocket. Is it? Okay, inside. Okay, thank you. I think we are good. Okay. So, what is this pre-treatment? Why it is called pre-treatment? You are discharging, you are pre-treating the industrial wastewater and then discharging it to the municipal wastewater treatment plant. Every city, town has its domestic wastewater treatment. From small town to big city, that is mandatory there. Even a town having a population of 5,000, it must have a pure drinking water and as well as the wastewater treatment plant, whatever is taken care of, right? So every city, town, they have a big wastewater treatment plant, and industries are spread all over, right? They have a municipal sewer system. So I said earlier, big industry, they have a lot of resources, they can have their own treatment plant and they will make it safe, then they can discharge may be to the river or to the land application. I have a couple example where we treat the water to the such extent that it can be applied for growing crops. I have a couple examples. And also we have a big city where the population is about 500,000. They treat the wastewater, domestic wastewater, which is coming from the residents and commercial zones, and then they treat the wastewater, then discharge to the river. So you have a standards. They have a kind of a permit is provided by the department, and it clearly mentions you have the this much limits. You must have the BOD this much, TSS this much, and also you have other contaminant pH and all. It should be that. I have given one glossary where the definition of all the terms which I used here. I wanted to give you a copy of that. I think I had attached that. Probably they will print and give it to you. That's why I'm not. If you want, you can also ask me what is biochemical oxygen demand, what is TSS, what is TDS, what is pH, and what is PCB, what is PFAS. So you will understand what it is. What if I say daily discharge? DMRs means daily maximum daily discharge report. DMRs. How they are termed, how they are used here. So that is already there in the glossary. But in the meantime, I will tell you a little bit quickly what it is. Right? So pre-treatment is pollution control requirement for non-domestic sources discharging wastewater to the sewer system that are connected to publicly owned treatment works. What is this publicly owned treatment works? It means wastewater treatment plant. The city's wastewater treatment plant is also known as publicly owned treatment works. Why it is publicly owned treatment works? Because you pay the taxes. Everyone pay the taxes, right? They built a treatment plant for the city. They respect the people who pay money, right? Their income tax. Almost all 90% people pay the income tax there. So that is why they were able to establish great network all over the country, right? So if I mention sometime wastewater treatment plant, it is also called publicly POTW, right? That is publicly treatment works, right? So understand that way. So it's a national program. I said earlier also, it is a national program all over US. Any part and corner if you go, this program exists, and implemented through regions, states, and local programs. What is this through regions? In one of the states, they divide that into 4 regions, 2 regions, that is like that. So I oversee in the eastern region of Washington state. I also oversee the whole state, how other people are doing, other states, other regions are doing. So that is the kind of work what we do. So regions, states, and local program. What you mean by local? Local means a small town, some town where the monuments are there, where the important things are there, structures are there. They want to have their own limits. Every town has to publish, I mean, on their website, how much they accept, what wastewater they can accept from the city or from the commercial unit, from the residential, from the industry in that road. So they have their own limits sometimes. If I say, for example, federal BOD limit is about 60, just a number, it's not, but just a number, then locals say that no, our treatment plant is small, we can't accept 60 BOD, we will accept only 30. What they will do, you have to treat that BOD and you have to make it dilute for residential, for industrial. So that is how the question comes. The industrial, that is called a non-domestic. They won't say industrial because sometimes industrial may mess up with the non-domestic. If you say that the domestic wastewater, in the sense it is purely the wastewater generated by the houses, right? That is a domestic wastewater. Non-domestic means there are some commercial units, big commercial units. Their wastewater coming out of the commercial unit is not exactly like a residential. It may be slightly different. That is why that wording is there. So that is the industrial discharge and a non-domestic. All industrial discharges are not domestic, right? That is how these terms it is. So local limits to accept the wastewater. Accept means they can have a direct connection to the treatment plant or they can discharge to the sewer. They just cannot hide somewhere and discharge. There are heavy fines will be there if they do like that, because this program ties whenever the new industry come into the city towns, they have to take a permission from the department to how they will take care of the wastewater which is generated from the city. So a lot of slides are there, but I may go a little slow when you are ready. Okay. The next purpose of the pre-treatment program. Why? What is the purpose of this program? This program, you see, to prevent the introduction of pollutant into the POTW. POTW in the sense wastewater treatment plant. That way you can understand. Because why they call it POTW means because public money they construct. So they give a value to the credit to the public, not to the government, right? Because your money runs the government. So that is how the US system works. Everything is a freedom and pursuit of happiness. That is what the system is, right? So the to prevent introduction of pollutant into the POTW, which will be interfere with the treatment plant. That is, the city town which runs this treatment plant, it has got a right to prevent any wastewater coming to their treatment system. They cannot discharge any toxic stuff. They can stop interference. It should not cause any interference to their wastewater treatment plants. But uh, you know how these treatment plants are built, because since I was also worked in the consultant teaching design, so we know how we design the treatment plants has got some limitations, how much it can treat. I will take 1 minute break. I want to know how many of you have an environmental background. Just raise your hands. Okay, good, good. I will ask your introduction later. Sometimes we will start one by one. You will have to tell your education, name, and which field you are working, and one of your hobby, what you do, other than your academic. Right? We will do that one by one. So then most of you can understand this. It is very basic and simple. We will do that later. So it should not create any interference for their treatment system, number one. Number two is it should not pass through. There are certain pollutants which will just pass through. They don't, you cannot catch them for the treatment. So if it is passing through without any treatment, so where it will end up? Either it will end up in the river where they are discharging, or it will, if they are applying to the land, it will end up in the land. So that is why they can scan. That is why we see how many things we will ask the treatment plant to monitor. They do priority pollutant scan, number of maybe about 20-30 pollutants. We scan them, they find out is there any pass through. Treatment means, it doesn't mean that if you are not measuring, then there is no pollution. So if you want to measure and see is there any pass through, so certain contaminant like TDS, if you are not measuring, it will just pass through and it will end up in the river. So this is how, that is what it says, it should not pass through and be incompatible. If it, you are the pollutant which they were discharging it to the wastewater treatment plant, if it is not capable by the designed treatment plant to take care, so in that case they say no, we will not accept. It is left to the commercial unit or the small industry or anyone, that they should take care of that. That is why it says that they have to treat at their industry and then discharge, make it compatible with the treatment plant, right? So that is what it. What is the ultimate grade? Ultimate game of this whole program is to protect POTW and its workers, because the treatment plant which is publicly funded, it must be protected first, right? You cannot accept, and anyone cannot just discharge to their sewer system and spoil the entire treatment unit. So that is the very idea of this pre-treatment program. Okay, then these are some terms and conditions, I mean the abbreviations which we will use in future. What is the Clean Water Act, which started there? It is in 1970s, where the clean water enacted by the federal government to make sure that everybody should follow, treat their wastewater, then discharge. It has a right. So if you have a law, then you can apply. If you don't have a law, then nothing can be done, right? There may be some situation where there are law not implemented, but that is unfortunate. But we have to make sure that the law is there in place, then you can implement, right? So that is what I was telling you. NPDS permit, National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. NPDS means what? These are the kind of permits, authorization given by the department or Department of Ecology or the Environmental Protection Agency, so that if the treated wastewater is specifically they are discharging it to the river, that is called a NPDES permit. I said there are different ways where you can discharge the wastewater. One is you can discharge it to the river, make it safe. That they are called, just they are separated, because what is the main purpose of this program is to protect the waters, rivers, waters of the states, waters of the nations. That is the first responsibility. Then protect the safe environment. So that is the very purpose. So main mission is to protect anything which causes a damage to the rivers. You can understand what where I am telling. So they have the laws. They can protect. They can stop any industry, however big it is. So you can understand how we do here, how do there. So how slowly we have to keep a step forward to implement these things. That is why I said in my very first note, whatever you learn, you can understand, spread to other people, teach your students, so that one by one, you may not change the whole world at a time, but step by step is important, taken care of. So people are getting more aware. What I heard, 25 years I left, and now the things are changed a lot. So people are getting aware. Youngsters, they are more proactive. So they can ask question. Earlier it was not like that. But I always like people who ask anywhere. If it is wrong, you should ask wherever it is, right? So that is what I mentioned, the publicly owned treatment works, industrial user, significant industrial user. Just I want to tell little bit. It is all there in the glossary. You can read at in the evening or whenever you get time. So significant industrial in the users, in the sense they have made a category. If the industry is discharging 25,000 gallons per day, I am using little gallons and LB, so pardon me for that. So here we use liters. We were using liters. Now little change, but the volume is same. You can understand that 1 gallon represents 3.78 liters. That right? So if I use gallons, hey, what is saying? Don't say that. So it is just a liter conversion. Okay, but wherever possible in my presentation, I have done that. But if not, you can understand that, right? So industrial user, significant industrial user means 25,000 gallons per day. If they are discharging more than that, so then they need they are called significant industrial users. Significant industrial users, in the sense we keep a little more focus on them. So what they are doing, nothing is hidden, everything is open. They must put all the data, whatever monitor, it should be on the system. Anybody can see, no hidden or anything like that, right? And categorical industry, in the sense some of the industries, especially metal industries, metal focus, metal cutting industries, chrome industries, they are called categorical industries. What happens? These categorical industries are, they may be discharging a small quantity, maybe discharging 2,000 liters or 5,000 liters or 10,000 liters, but they are discharging a very toxic wastewater, concentrated. Quality, quantity, there are two aspects, right? If it is quality is worst, if they are discharging any concentrated, then we have to be careful how they are doing, what they are doing. Then categorical industries and a code of federal, this is all covered under the federal regulations. Federal regulation at the national level, and the state regulations and the local regulation at the small towns. Then common terms and phrases, I will go a little bit quickly. Approved pre-treatment program means what happens sometimes, Department of Ecology, what it does is it authorizes some of the cities to run the program on behalf of us. Government says everything is not done by the government. So we say that some cities, okay, they have a resources, staff, funding, everything. So then you run the program on behalf of us under these regulations, right? So that is how in the eastern region, for example, where I do that, there are certain cities, we authorize them. You run the program on behalf of us. I oversee them. Every 2 years I see what they are doing, how they are doing, how whether they are doing any enforcement or not, whether they are monitoring the tributary distributor industries very carefully or not. So that we oversee how they are doing. That I oversee, right? So if the cities are strong, more so resources, we delegate them. You, instead of government, you do, we will oversee. But if there are certain industries which are non-delegated beyond their service area, then we say that department issues the permit to them directly. We oversee them. We authorize them. We will. They have to report us to directly. But otherwise, what happened? Delegate means the cities, they will respond to the cities, and then cities will respond to us. That is simple, right? So this is the approved pre-treatment program. Controlling authority, in the sense we give the city, you are the controlling authority. You oversee all the wastewater industrial discharge. You are whether they are discharging it properly to a wastewater treatment plant, and you guys are discharging to river or to the land application properly or not. So that is the next step. So they are called a controlling authority. Cities, they are, call them as a controlling authority. Then approved authority means our government. I have to, we have to approve. Department of Ecology has to approve that we have approved you and you run the program. We'll see. Then the interference pass through, I have already spoke to that. They should make sure that any industry, if it is discharging without any treatment, then they can stop. Stop means what they will do? You can't discharge. You can either shut down the industry, or you take your wastewater in a big volume wastewater to some other place where they are treating. But you cannot just discharge to the wastewater treatment through the sewage system and the sewage network or directly. So that is, if they do, then there are going to be consequences. Consequences are not like here. The fines will be in millions, not like that. So we have many examples which we have done like that. So improve the opportunity for the sludge. That is what one tutorial I have kept for the metals. You see what happens if there is any escape of the pollutant like metals. Metal industry is, somewhere in the corner they are discharging and you are not able to trace out. What happens? That will go into the sludge. What happens there is most of the sludge is treated and used as a manure to the soils. That is, here also we do organic. If it consists of a metal in that, they cannot use it. It all becomes waste. So that is why it is very important to track the metal industries, however small dischargers they are. So what they are doing, where they are discharging. Otherwise, your whole system, if you have a biosolids program at your town, if you are making millions of dollars with that, if the metal is there in that sludge, you cannot use. So that is why they are very important. That is why they are placed under a categorical industry, right? Definition for pre-treatment terms, I have given you the glossary. I will check out whether you will get that copy. So you see here how this program, this is the treatment plant. Yeah, here is the treatment plant. What are the different components? These are the residential areas, you can say. The wastewater is discharged to the treatment plant, correct? And there are different components here. Number one, corrosion of collection system or the, to the treatment plants, right? Then there are interferences, there are workers, limited, and there is a pass through. The toxic substance will just pass through if they are not treated. The wastewater from the residential area collected at the treatment plant. How this is going to affect? It will cause a corrosion. If the wastewater is coming from the industry, what happens? If the pH, ideal pH is about 7 to 9, usually 6 to 11 we can permit for industries. If it is low, 3, 4, what happens? It will cause a problem, issues to the sewer line. Sewer lines will be corroded. That low pH wastewater will react with the iron reinforcement in the sewer system, and it will destroy, right? So what happens? So if the whole system is destroyed, then what happens if they are just discharging? If you do not have, you know, if they are some gasified wastewater, if it is consist of lot of methane, if you are not properly maintained, there is a possibility that it may cause an explosion, right? So then there are also workers who are working in the treatment plant. You have to take care of them. People who work in the treatment plants, they are more valued there because they are dealing with some kind of toxic waste already, always generating hydrogen sulfide or methane, like that. So proper protective equipments, right? So those are very important for people. Without protective equipments, you cannot go on the treatment plant. They are important system. So hydrogen sulfide, if it is just a small quantity, if you are exposed continuously, people may die. You will not even knowing what has happened. If they are going in the manhole which has a methane generation in a confined space, there is a possibility of death. It happens many places, but people don't notice, but they are very dangerous. So that is why this is the system, and once it is treated, this water goes to the river, right? If it is NPDS or if you are applying it to the land, right? So if it has a toxic substance, it is not possible to treat. It depends upon how you design the treatment plant system. If it is not capable of treating, and if it is discharge is coming from some industry and going to the river, fish life will be dead. That is why you are always watched by the fishery department. It is very one of the hard department to get through. Fish will be, and also there are many hospitals that will come to the waste coming from the clinics, hospitals later. I will cover a little bit about that also. So this is the system. uh, it is important to protect that. What is affected, or who is the affected in this whole system? Approval authority, POTW, industrial users, and waste haulers, and a commercial entity. All, if the wastewater is consist of a contaminant, toxics, then all these stakeholders will be affected, right? Then approval authority, what is the goal? Adequate implementation of a pre-treatment program. Legal authority, oversight responsibility, POTW pre-treatment program implementation, SIU and CIU pre-treatment program implementation. How you implement? That is why the bigger responsibility, you can understand how big the responsibility, how if you have great value for the human beings, right? Without knowingly they will be affected. That is why I was mentioning this course is important. It will give you a little bit insight how much our people are exposed for this kind of activities. You can understand we have a limited space, lot of people. If a water quality affected, then it will affect everywhere. It is not that if we drink bottled water and in air condition only will be safe. It is not like that. There are many contaminant where just pass through, and you will not be even knowing, because most of the treatment plants we won't be having a tertiary treatment. There are few more things are coming up. people may be knowing PCB and PFAS. I will cover little bit of that also, so that you can understand how difficult to even the US spends billions of dollars. It is, they are to take care of that contaminants, right? Then I have already mentioned how who is affected, the POTW, and the goal to prevent interference and pass through the treatment legal authority responsibility. What is this survey of industrial users? These are the components. How you run the program? Is it that just to treat the treatment plant and discharge? But you should know which are the industries existing in that town or city which are contributing to the wastewater, right? You have in a residential wastewater, domestic wastewater, large quantity, and you are allowing some industries to discharge and make it compatible with the domestic wastewater so that the treatment can be done. Means there are industries where they say that we don't have an toxic. There are some food industries which they use all the time, the cleaning the stuff, and they have a BOD and TSS and a flow. Then say they can discharge, they can collect it, remove the suspended solids, and then discharge. Give a little pre-treatment. They will be having a big pond, wastewater coming from that facility is put into that, all the suspended solids settle down, then the remaining they can send it to the wastewater treatment plant. They can take care. If they are discharging heavy suspended solids all the time, so that whole thing will be messed up, right? One industry, you don't have a right to mess everything. You can see the example here. I will take little examples out of wherever what is happening here. So that is why it is important. They have to make it safe, compatible. That is why they use the word compatible. Then they can discharge. So that is what the survey says. First, the city town should know how many industries are existing. Suppose there is a big treatment plant here, a lot of industries are there, you should know. They say that cities should know how many industries are there, what they are manufacturing, what is the volume of the wastewater coming, what is the quality of the wastewater coming, right? And what is the characteristic of that wastewater. They say that we must know. You cannot hide anything. You must know. That is what this service is. If an industry or commercial unit is coming, then city will decide if you are delegated. Otherwise, it is the responsibility of the department to find out. So they will have a right to find out what industry is it. They will be linking. When industry come in, they need a water permission, they need a land permission, they hook up immediately. So they will see one industry has come here. So what they are manufacturing, how many people are working, what is the wastewater coming up. So you all scan that and you see whether they need an important authorization or not. That is called permit there. Whether they need an authorization to discharge or not. No, if they are not doing anything, just their wastewater is just like a residential wastewater, then they can discharge. But who will make that decision? This authority will make the decision. That is why they have to provide all the information. So that is called the survey. You cannot just go on watching the town, which industry has come, what they are doing. No, they must. It is their responsibility. If they don't know what happens, anybody authority can go and just take action on that. So that is what the survey says. So how many industries are there, what they are doing, where they are discharging. So some people say that no, Morse is very safe. Then if the wastewater is coming from that industry, authority can take the sample and measure. They cannot lie. Lying is a big crime there. First, you have to give. They will ask you. You have to say yes. You have to say correctly what is there. First, they will believe you. You say anything, they will believe. Then if it is wrong, then there is a consequence. go in the system that you cannot believe in future. So those are the things. That is what the survey makes. Then the control industrial users, waste haulers. But there are small industries. They say that I don't have any sewer system. My place is somewhere in the corner. I don't have any source to discharge it to your sewer line because your sewer line doesn't exist there. So they have made a provision for all of them. You just cannot blame that it is not there, which is our usual tendency. So it is not there. You cannot say. Then they say haulers. They collect the wastewater. What they say is whatever the discharge you collect in the tank, you have a hauler. He will take that to the treatment plant. You have to pay money, right? Because paying money for the what we generate, what we do is important. That is how our people must know here also that you will do, right? It is not that you don't get things free, right? If it is a free, then it won't have a value. So that is what it says. The wastewater, however, commercial entities. There are some commercial entities. They say that their wastewater is slightly different from the domestic wastewater. Residential wastewater, in the sense all which comes from the house, right? So commercial, if it is slightly different, they cannot discharge. They have to haul their wastewater to some other places unless it is in a domestic place. So that is how. Then inspection, monitoring, you have to, people will go and inspect them, what is whether who is doing, because once they get an authorization permit, that is what called is authorization to discharge. They do inspection. Suppose I can go any industry and ask them what you are doing, where is there, where your wastewater generated, where it is going, what you do. You can ask anything. Where are your registers? You can ask. That is the authority it gives. So that is how you are tracked. There is no just chance that you can do it for some time. So that is how the system is. Monitoring, receiving and reviewing the report. So once the industry got an authorization, then they have to, in that authorization, they say that your wastewater is this, your industry is this, these are the parameters. I will show you one example to just see how that looks. If you read that, you will understand how much responsibility the industry has. If it doesn't do, what will happen? So you will read. I will give you one example later. You know, so it mentions everything. That authorization, they say that whatever your wastewater is you are producing, how you are managing, how much is the volume today you produce. That is the online flow meter is fixed on the outlet. So every day you will not, it will record how much is the wastewater produced. How much, if you say that weekly you have to measure these things, BOD, TSS, pH daily, and some other parameters, nitrate, nitrogen, ammonia, if you want to measure. So once in a week, you take a sample, send it to authorized laboratory, tabulate all that. In a monthly, you will have to report to the system, either to the city if it is delegated, or to the department. So monthly you have to send daily monitoring report. So you will see how much is the wastewater produced, how much is the parameters measured, are they exceeding what you have been given. If you say that you allow 300 milligram of TSS, if they are producing 400, then you will see what happened. That's a numerical violation. That is called numerical violation. You will ask, you have to give an explanation what happened, how you will reduce. That means your settling tank is not working there. You need a settling tank. You have to reduce that, then discharge. You cannot do that one time, two time. Then there is an actions, right? So pH and flow meters, they are measured daily. So the receiving POTW, wastewater treatment plant, must know how many people are discharging, where they are discharging, what is the volume, what is the quality. So there is no chance for that. They measure at inlets. They are called tributary industries. So this is how the monitoring report, then there is an enforcement always there. If you don't listen, then there is a serious issues. uh, there are incidents where the thousands of dollars have been put as a fine if they violate. If you The system is, if you violate, you have to pay for that. That is the law. You just violate and then just cannot. It is true every in the social system also. If you violate, okay, you can violate and you have to pay this. If you are not paying, then there is a different things out there. So that is how the system. You just cannot escape the system, because system is built. You are part of them. You cannot change the system. That is how we all should understand how those systems work there. So that is what I'm trying to teach you here. Then the annual report, they will have to give a yearly, what is the consolidated report. And a person who is doing has a lot of authority. It is not that one person, you are an engineer, you are managing. If you take action, other people cannot influence and say, no, you can just leave it. They cannot do that. They can tell you only, you look into that again. So that is how the system is built. Industrial user responsibility, that I have covered. Uh, Waste haulers and commercial entities, what are the goals? Local and state, federal, I have explained, where the local authority has a big responsibility. If it is a federal, your regulations may be more stringent than the state and regulars. It cannot be local limits or whatever you establish for your town to protect your town cities. It cannot be much more than what the state and federal. That is the authorities given. So no hazardous waste responsibilities. They have to, in that authorization, it is mentioned very much clearly that no hazard material should be discharged. You cannot just throw the batteries there or anything there. Any contaminant you can, without noticing, you cannot. If you are found, then there is a heavy fine. People, it is their law is established like that, system is developed. People who are our people only who go there, they follow the law. Here, if they don't follow it, but the system is because they built like that, right? So hazardous stuff should not be there. If it is a hazardous, then there is a big issue. There is a separate department. They will come and just they will smash everything. That is a separate one. If it is hazardous, that is what your authorization clearly mentions. It must have not have any hazardous substance. If spill occurs, how we will do? You should have a system in place. If where you are, if there is a failure, how we will mitigate. All these systems are built in that the authorization which is given, right? Comply with the POTW requirement. That is what I mentioned. City wastewater treatment plant has a big authority. They can stop any wastewater coming from any corner if it is not comply, if it is not compatible, if they don't comply with the authorizations. So that is how the whole system is brought under a program. You have to be a part of program, whether you are a small industry or you are a big industry like a Boeing. It doesn't matter. After 1 hour, we will take a 5 minutes break. You guys can fresh up, right? Is that okay? Okay. So I will cover one more slide and then we'll go. Uh, this is little messed up. That's fine. Uh, Program review. I want to tell a little bit about the 1970 Clean Water Act, which is the revolution in the field of environment. Why the U.S. Protection Agency, state government, or in the world, it is more famous, because even when we were there, we used to study about this one, Clean Water Act, and because US is the one country where they have established the guidelines rules, regulation for their system. But now the world everywhere is following, right? So that is how this Clean Water Act is more famous, right? So this started some this the structure I have given, uh, statutory basis NPDES program, and it is all the website you can always search. Point sources must obtain an NPDES permit, EPA or their delegated states. What does it? What the delegated states? I said our state government and the EPA is the central body, federal. We collaborate. EPA delegates, oh state you can do this program but under our provision. State gives some authorization. If they are comfortable, they give it to the city, town. Guys, we are giving authorization. You have to run this program on under ours because we have to report there. So that is how. If they say that city, no, we don't have that much resources, we cannot do. There are some places also with me where they say that we cannot do. So then the department directly issues the authorization for those investors. You can see the how the structure is. This is the EPA, NPDES states means NPDES in the sense only you can have that understanding the industries or the cities where the treated wastewater is discharged to rivers. Rivers are the properties of the state, country. They are well protected, not like you can just throw anything. You might be knowing about Yamuna River, which is going in Delhi now, so you guys know. But that is how you cannot do like that. So they are very well treated. No one can go and spoil the things there, right? So that is the NPDES state. State NPDES permits and pre-treatment program industrial users. Industrial users in the sense industries which produce wastewater. It is very simple. If you have a capability, you build your treatment plant. If you don't have a capability, then you can discharge to city wastewater, but you have to pay money for that. And city wastewater says that that is the industry, it has a toxic. So they say that no, you treat little bit, make it compatible to us, then we will take care. So very simple, right? But you have to pay money for that. That is between them. What is the cost? They based on the volume, based on the quality. You little amount toxic we are producing, we don't pay, we can hide. No, not like that. So it is that is how this system is built. Then there are the I will not go. It's 1973. Little bit changes in the format. Like we'll have to fix that one later, right? Later. Okay, so these are the some of the federal codes. These are so under 40 CFR 403 is the treatment program and approval deadlines, pre-treatment implementation review task, how it is developed. It is started from 1973. See, step by step. That is how we will have to do it here also. Here also they are there because I have worked in the regulation also when I was in IIT. There are rules are there, but it has to be implemented properly, right? So at different years, there have been the domestic sewage studies. You will have to have once to decide or to design any treatment plant, you will have to have a feasible study that you guys know. You have to have a feasible study, then design the treatment plant to be based on the volumes, characteristics, and also future expansion. But when you design any treatment plant, you design it for 30 years, not for today. You think that in 30 years also your plant should be good, and today also your plant should be good. So that is how. That is usually all the treatment plants are done. Then the Congress rules, regulations, and DSS regulations and removal of credit pollutant eligibility, that is also there. If there are some priority pollutants which are produced by particular industry, then they have a regulation to have a treatment for that, right? Then program modification, regulation, streamlined. These are the different laws came into existence one by one. They learned the lesson when they implemented the first 1973. Then they understand. See, people who are in the system, hey, here is the gap, so we need another regulation. And always the system is that when you make a regulation, it has to pass through Senate and all like that. So that is why they called the, you can hear about Congress little bit. Congress is the system where all the regulations they accept and pass through. Elected MPs cannot become minister, right? Yeah, Congress is to make regulations. The system is little different. President can appoint the secretaries directly. Congress does the regulation, what is required for the people of the United States. That is how system. That's why the Congress came into that. Then this is the Federal Code 40, which deals with the environmental protection. Protection of environment, chapter 1, protection, environmental protection agency. These are the regulations under which, if you read this, you will, the whole system is there. So how the pre-treatment program is designed, what I am telling you right now, right? Oh, it has missed something. Okay. Program implementation. Who must develop a program? Who must develop a program, right? POTW, that is means the wastewater city wastewater treatment plant, which has a capacity of 5 million gallons, they can have the authorization. You cannot, there is a small town, if they say that, oh, you give a delegation for us, we will run whatever. You don't ask me, it is not like that. If there is in a big town, I mean, substantial town, your treatment plant is a 5 million gallons. Please pardon me again, gallons, it is in liters here, right? Liters is 3.7. If you multiply, you will come MLD. You here we design it on the MLDs, right? So if they have a capacity of 5 million gallons, means nearly 4 times in liters, right? So then they can ask for authorization. We are big cities, we want to run our program, we will, you can oversee, but we should have an authorization. We will look after all the industries coming under our service area, and also we will follow all the regulations. So they can apply for that program. We will see their engineering, we will see whether they are really, their treatment plant is as per the design, really they are doing a good job, they have all resources, they are capable of maintaining the discharge coming from the whole town. Then we authorize them, okay, you can do the treatment plant. Combined design flow 5 million gallons, receiving flow subjected to pre-treatment standard, receiving pollutant which pass through and interfere. Approval authority may require program development regardless. That means they should be capable of accepting the industrial wastewater also. If a city designs a treatment plants, you cannot overload by industrial wastewater only, because it is basically built by a, for the residential wastewater. But in the biological system, if you have a 5 million gallon of wastewater treatment plant, you can accept about 10%, 20% of industrial wastewater also. Make it compatible and treat them. So that is how they need not to worry. Because I have worked in biological system for many, many years. So I know how this thing, why they are more popular today also, because we don't apply a chemical treatment or other kind of a treatment. We don't want to treat and produce one form of waste to another form of waste, because the bacteria what we use in the treatment system, biochemical system, biological system, what they do is in a short period of time they convert toxic waste into manageable waste or removal. It means you can manage or they will remove completely. They live for a short seconds. fraction of second. They do such a important, you know, work for the human society. So we will also learn about biological treatment. One, I have kept a biological system and advanced biological system. You will understand how that system works, right? I'm giving you some, there are two parts. One is regulation, one is technology is there, they can buy, but you should have a system to guide them. Otherwise, what happens? You know the examples, many examples, right? So this is how the system is designed. Then oversight authority. Oversight authority means these are the authorities. There are many people who watching you all the time. There is a federal regulations, there is a state regulation, there is a local, there is a controlling authority. All will see. Young people, like all engineers and operators, they will go and take sample. They will make sure that everything is going well, and nook and corners they will check. So they have that authority. So controlling authority, approval authority is the government. The control authority is the city, town, if you authorize them, and entity that oversees CA and can means EPA and state. We see if we give authorization to the city, towns, and industries, we directly oversee that program. Depends upon the pre-treatment authorization status, delegated status, non-delegated status. That is what I was trying to say, that if city is authorized, that means it is delegated. If it is not, it is we see directly. Okay, we'll take a quick 5 minutes. So we are a little bit late today. 5 minutes you can use your anything, washroom and all. So we can start again. Don't take more than 5 minutes. Today is little tight. We spend a lot of time in, you know.